Man, what a game last night.
Everything hurts. I can't stay awake.
I didn't get to bed till 3. I feel like a zombie. The facility should really fix this light. So annoying.
I promise I will call later after the box score.
That's right now. Julian, go home already.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Collins for box score.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score. I'm Brock in Los Angeles. They are the Danettes in Milford, Connecticut. Guys, it was a wild start to the World Series last night. The Royals took it in 14 short innings. McLovin, did the negative events yesterday overshadow the game, or will it add to the intrigue?
You know what? As we discussed earlier on the show, everything added to the intrigue. It was all good for baseball. I don't think there was one, I don't think any of the stories were bad or reflected poorly on the sport, and it just added to the juice. I have to be honest, I wasn't thrilled about a Royals-Mets. I wanted to see the Cubs. Not that I have anything against the Royals or Mets. I think most Royals fans are, that I know, I only know one Royals fan, and he's a total moron. Mm-hmm. But I would say they're usually, it's kind of a blah series, but it delivered last night.
I know that guy. He is a moron. And I think you're right, McLovin, that we said yesterday, Dan said yesterday, this needs an incident. It had almost multiple. It had 14 innings, pretty good baseball. The Volquez thing, as awful as it is, it's still good for storylines, which is awful to say, but it's true. Yeah. You're not judging it. You're just saying it's not a good event, but it's a huge storyline. And then the power outage by Fox, it cost Fox like 4 minutes of airtime, 5 minutes of airtime, and that's like a double commercial break. No big deal. I mean, you're off the air for on a pro football game when they do the kickoff. It's like 3 minutes. Kickoff 3 minutes. They're gone for 6 minutes.
I flipped between whenever there was a break in the action. I flipped to the basketball games last night. So I would tweet about the basketball games. People were like, "Why are you watching the World Series?" I'm like, "You kidding me? I've watched an entire basketball game in just the commercial break."
Sure.
So there's so much downtime.
I stuck with the baseball just because maybe it's because we're in the business, but the awkward entertainment value of throwing it to the Fox Sports 1 studio, and then within a minute, they're going to start recapping the first couple of innings, and then as soon as it gets to them, then they got to throw it back to the
They got to the 13th inning, though, last night, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? It's a Royals-Mets game. I don't even care if it's the World Series. It's Royals-Mets. Going into the 14th now, I'm out of here. I went to bed.
Is that where you cut out 13?
I cut off after 13. I was like, all right, if they don't score here and go into the 14th, I'm leaving. And
I made it to the 8th inning, but that was all because of tequila. All right, well, the power outage, as you mentioned, caused the game delay and no replay available. And you had ESPN's Jessica Mendoza on, and she said that maybe they just played through it.
I know there was the delay there for a little bit, but no, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm old school in that way, but as long as the delay I felt like ended up being, it seems silly that we're so reliant on replay now. And I agree, you know how it is, you jinx it, right, and some big play would happen that you would need to replay. But I just feel like, we're here to play this game, right? And to see the crowd once I got in there, the teams, it just would have been sad to kind of postpone that moment because we're reliant on technology.
Yeah, I'm not really positive what I think the right thing to do there was, if they should have just kept playing through or if they should have stopped the game like that. I sort of see both sides. Although, my concern in the moment, though, was really it's only about one player, and that's the guy who's currently pitching. Other than that, it doesn't affect anybody that's on the field. It's just Matt Harvey is standing there, and he's like, dang, my arm was ready to go, and now it's going to cool off. Now I got to warm up. And that's when you get a totally different pitcher on the mound after that, and maybe you get some injuries or something like that. But I don't buy the idea, though, that it was like, well, it's replay. We have to make sure that we have replay. That might be a factor, but it was business.
Yeah, I agree with Seton. I think that was a pretty convenient excuse. It may have been the reason momentarily, but I think it's like, ooh, we could use this as a sure way out of this. And they probably were thinking, wow, we have no replay. This hurts. But you know what? While we're getting the replay fixed, we'll get everything fixed.
Right.
And then go right back on air. And at the worst, we look like we're concerned about the fair balance of the game and the judgment of the game, which is a good thing, but it also covers the other end of it, not losing at-bats for Fox.
All right, well, another major point of debate focuses on the Royals starting pitcher Edison Volquez and the death of his father prior to the game. Now, his mother or his wife had asked the Ned Yost and the Royals not to mention that to him, let him go ahead and pitch, and also alluded that she didn't want the media blurbing this out. Paulie, do you cheat the story by not covering it?
That's a really great question. I'm going back and forth on this all day. You know, the death of his father did not affect Edison Volquez and the Royals in any way on the field. They didn't change their lineup. He didn't alter the way he pitched. Now, if he knew about it before the game, if he was informed before the game, then you have to report it. And unfortunately, I don't think you could wait for the families to be informed. That's not your issue. Now, we did work in the topic of if Edison Volquez finds out about it, it's through the media. I'm shocked he didn't find out with all the people in the stands and everything that's going on. But it's funny that he's at the World Series and everyone knows but him. How surreal.
Well, you know, so how did that story get out?
I don't know who reported it first.
But I would guess that it was a family member contacted the Royals, so don't let them know this. But if they hadn't contacted the Royals, nobody would have known.
Probably right. You're probably right.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Maybe local reporters in the Dominican might have.
But how would they have gotten it if the family didn't tell anybody till the next day? You're right. It's like
it's almost like they let the story out. Trying to cover themselves, they actually let it out in a weird way.
Yeah. But it's as surreal as it gets to be watching him. And for 1 minute, I was reading on Twitter that he did know, and then 2 minutes later, I read, no, he didn't know.
I came in this morning thinking that I thought the story was fake. I don't know. He found out on the way into the ballpark. And I thought that was the case, and then I was like, weird story.
Yeah, Fritzy, as rough as a moment as it is, put yourself in Volquez's shoes. Would you want to know that your father had passed away to fuel you, or would you want to find out afterwards?
I think I would have understood that, I certainly wouldn't have been mad at anybody for not telling me before. I probably, especially knowing how I am, it would affect obviously anybody, but I'd be way too emotional and it would probably affect how I'm pitching. Maybe some pitchers, they're like, I'm going to do this for my dad, and it makes you somehow take it to some other level, like Brett Favre did in that Packer-Raider, I guess, Monday night game after his dad passed away. For me, I'd probably be better off not knowing and going about my business and being told sometime after I was done pitching for the night what happened.
Now that I think about it, I would go the opposite way. I would want to know beforehand. You know what I mean? I would like to give my mom a quick call. I could take 2 minutes and call mom. And, even though you're pitching in 15 minutes, I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I'm not a baby. Tell me what's going on. Give me a second to collect myself, and I'm going to go kick somebody's ass. And I think it would fuel you. I think you'd crank it up even more. And you might be crying at the end, but give mom a call and say, I'm going to go out there and torch these dudes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Royals pulled off an amazing comeback heading into Game 2. McLovin, is there such a thing as momentum in baseball?
No, baseball is totally random. Anybody who's analyzing baseball is making it up as they go. No one knows what's going to happen in baseball. NFL, you have a reasonable chance of guessing who's going to win. Baseball, nobody picked the Mets and the Royals, so I don't want to hear your World Series prediction because you didn't pick it. I mean, I get every NFL prediction wrong, but DP gets some predictions right. So it obviously can be done. Baseball's never been done. Tell me one prediction you've ever heard in baseball that's come true.
I looked at this, and I went back and looked at the Sports Illustrated, ESPN, Fox, almost everyone who picks games. The only guy I could see who picked even the Mets in the playoffs was Tom Verducci. And he had them as a wild card squeaking in.
Yeah.
So, like, when you say nobody had the Mets in the World Series, I can find that one person.
You didn't have the Phillies and the Rays in 2008 meeting up with one
Well, that was a fait accompli.
Yeah, that was
juggernaut.
Silly.
Of course I had it.
All right, well, hopefully the momentum holds up. Coming up, a funny man gets serious. Want to get serious about trucks? Hop in the cab of a Ram 1500 Eco Diesel. Every truck can climb a hill, haul a trailer, and tow a boat, but not everybody has the most fuel-efficient half-ton truck on the road that just kicks all kind of ass. Get more facts at ramtrucks.com. Guts, glory, Ram. We are back here in the box score. Guys, you've had a lot of comedians come on the show, but I would say none of them are as funny consistently as David Spade, and he absolutely crushed it today. Paulie, have you had a chance to hang out with Spade away from the lights and the cameras? I mean, is he just regular David, or is it just all jokes all the time?
Hang out, not really. He's been on the set probably 4 times. We went to a movie a couple years ago, a movie premiere where we got to talk to him a few minutes. But he is always funny. He's one of those guys, it's like he doesn't have it in him to not be funny. Even when he's just casually doing things. Like, I was at this thing, and this movie premiere we all went to. Was it Grown Ups 2?
Actually, Paul, I think you were alone at that movie premiere.
Really?
We all couldn't go. I never met him. You went to one. We were all invited, and you showed up.
Vacation or something?
It was during vacation. Yes, and you pulled power play and went alone, even though we were all
Or just
invited.
showed up when invited.
Yeah, showed up when invited. And the first story was that you hung out extensively with David Spade.
No, yeah, I did not hang out extensively, but it sounded a lot better on the radio the next day. I did meet Spade, and my wife was there, and she was dressed up. And most people would go, "Oh, nice to meet you." He goes like this. He goes, "Hey," like this. He goes, and he goes like this. He looks at me. He goes, "Who are you kidding?" And I was laughing at it. Anyone else would have got probably punched in the face, but it was so funny because it's Spade. I mean, I find him the funniest. Even like the littlest things that he does. When he was on set in Miami years ago, everyone else is sitting in their seats. He put his legs underneath him and was kneeled up like
he's a little boy.
Like my 6-year-old daughter would.
Yeah.
And he was like this. And he was eating a Snicker bar.
Trucker hat, Snicker bar, and he's
and he's about 46 years old.
Crisscross applesauce.
Nobody cracks me up. Nobody cracks me up more than this guy.
Crisscross applesauce. All right, well, Spade was on a tear as always, and his sidetracks were amazing.
I don't mean to go deep on a show like this because, everyone wants to hear about Lamar Odom and the Mets. But by the way, Lamar, bless his heart, he's getting better, I heard. Did you hear that?
I hope. Were you friends with him?
I know that when Chloe, if they ever get in a fight, if he acts up, she's going to be like, I stopped doing nothing for you. I took 2 weeks off of literally zero to be by your side. I can't get that nothing back. Do you get it?
By the way, you could tell some switch goes off where he's going to routine. He's like, did he actually said line? Did you hear about that? Like it's totally stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So Lamar Odom, now he's going to do the headlines. Dan actually said, did you know him? He just blew through it and went right to his track.
Right, like I got a bit here. Stay out of the way, big boy. I'll take care of this.
He was just sort of on stage in the improv. Hey, did you guys hear about Lamar Odom? Huh? It's a conversation, David. You can do a little better than that.
Couldn't wait to work.
God, he's funny.
Oh, he is. And Spade is known for a darker brand of comedy, and today he talked about some of that darkness that molded him.
My dad laughed when I was 4. And then I got a stepdad who was a little nuts. He was in the Vietnam War. He's a doctor. But he would, wake us up and give us each a gun and say, we're being attacked. And he'd walk around the house, on a patrol. He didn't know. He had PTSD or whatever, and we didn't know what that was. We just thought he was weird. I remember when he shot a hole in the roof when he was cleaning his shotgun when I was 12. And then I found out later he was trying to kill himself because he did kill himself after that. And then I found out, if that wasn't heartbreaking enough, his dad killed himself and his dad and his own brother. I was like, Mom, these are red flags on a first date. But I said, bring it up if you go out again on, Tinder or whatever.
Like what? He just talked about multiple members of his family committing suicide, and we were laughing.
I know.
It's a weird thing when you're a comic like that, because when you just say something, it's funny. Whether or not it's a joke, it tends to be kind of funny, unless you have to preface it almost and say, this is actually serious. I'm not doing a bit here. This is something. And I don't really know. Is it weird to be laughing about it? Because he did it. It was kind of funny.
Because he's a comedian, I guess you feel a little. You could put your guard down a little bit. It's okay to laugh because he's doing a shtick, or he's not taking it seriously, even though it's so morbid. And you would normally, if anyone other than a David Spade or a comedian would be sharing a story, you'd be like, oh my god.
Right. I think Fritzy's exactly right. It's when you're officially a professional comedian, there's things you could say that the average human on the street can't. We make a lot of jokes on the show. I go dark sometimes. I think we all go dark sometimes. But we can only go so far with it. And I'll be like, dude. Yeah. It's like David Spade can go wherever the F he wants because it's a living, and he makes fun of everything.
And that's why when he's going, and he thought he was trying to kill himself, and I found out why, is because later he did kill himself. We're like,
Woo! And then he's talking about his mom. Next time you're on Tinder, maybe you should find out over and under on how many suicides.
Smoking cools.
By the way, is there an unhappier brand of person than a stand-up comedian? Comedy is born out of pain.
Yeah.
They are the
angry,
most darkest people on earth.
So jealous.
Even him,
comics.
Yeah, we we should be funnier.
I had the tragedy during childhood. It just didn't transition into comedy ability. I just had the darkness without the comedy ability, which really sucks. I had the pain and the bad memories.
Then you just end up being a miserable person.
Right. It didn't turn into
go either way,
a comedy career or a biting sense of humor, which sucks.
Well, it's still kind of
Is
funny
that
to
funny?
us.
I don't know if that's funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, Fritzy, the boss has had some big-time guests share some pretty personal stories. What sets Dan apart in those moments?
His professionalism and I guess and sensitivity, and he knows. He just knows, like, he's a very good listener. He knows when to follow up, when to, lay back and let a story be told. He knows when it's the appropriate time, and he's been doing it. He's spoken to anyone and everyone, and just knowing, when to stay with something or when maybe it's a good idea to move on to something else, and that takes a great amount of talent.
That's ironic because I think you're
the opposite of that.
You're a terrible listener.
I'm a terrible listener. I don't remember names.
Unless it's a pretty young lady.
Or a Bronco
True.
topic.
That's right. If it's a good-looking girl, or the Broncos, I'm more likely to listen. But I've always been amazed with Dan's ability, as whether it's an interview, regardless of what the topic is. But he really shines when it's something that's really sensitive. When it's
and he knows when to cut it off. You're saying.
Right. As opposed to me rambling on. I've already made my point and continuing to say the same thing more than once.
And trailing on.
All right, okay. With that being said, great interview with the Spade. Great job, guys. All right, coming up, it is time to mock the world. Welcome back to the Box Score, guys. It was a big night on TV last night, maybe too much for one TV. Lots of headlines out there. If you didn't catch them all, we got you covered in this edition of
Mock Headline Battle Royale.
All right, we know how this works. I give you a headline, you give me a mock headline. First headline, President Barack Obama attends the Cavaliers-Bulls season opener in Chicago. Let's start with McLovin.
Oh boy. Barry, oh wow, did you see Powell block LeBron? Don't sleep on the Bulls.
Barry-O.
Key and Peele.
Barry-O. All right, Paulie, your headline, please.
McLovin hijacked me a little bit. Good job by him. I have no headline whatsoever. I just want to quote Key and Peele. Don't ever sleep on Barry-O. Don't ever sleep on Barry-O.
Is that coming to me?
Yeah.
Some righteous bud we got here.
Fritzy, what do you got?
Obama cares. Second city game, first priority.
All right, look at you. Yeah.
That's
There he
real
is.
good.
Boom.
You're not repealing that headline. All right, Seton, your headline.
You're gonna notice a theme with mine. Chi-town, more like Y-town, as in, doesn't Barry-O have something more important to do?
Oh, a little Republican angle.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have something more important he should be doing?
Thank you, Gretchen Carlson. Second headline, Abby Wambach announces her retirement from soccer. Paulie, your headline.
Oh, say, can you see ya? Wambach done with USA Soccer.
Very patriotic.
That's great.
Fritzy, your headline.
Wam not coming back. Dear Abby, you will be missed.
Wam not coming back.
Wam not coming back.
Seton.
Abby, more like Crabby, as in fans are upset she's retiring. Wow, class.
McLovin.
Abby Cadabby, soccer star's career goes poof in fashion apropos Sesame Star. Will she turn into Oscar the Grouch? Or even worse, a cookie monster in retirement? Put on a couple pounds.
You want a direction there.
Yeah. Sesame Street of all things. Our third headline. Craig Sager returns to the sideline reporting for the NBA on TNT. Fritzy, let's start with you.
What do you, Sager? Make some noise. Get loud. Sport coat.
Crowd is happy with that. Seton, your headline, please.
Craig Sager, more like Craig Sager, as in, what does a tiger say? As in, he mauled cancer's ass like a tiger would maul someone.
There you go.
Wordy, but after.
Yeah, I think it's great. McLovin, your headline.
This is super lame. Back on the sideline, but in a good way because he's not a player, he's a sideline reporter.
Very truthful.
Angry crowd.
Paulie.
Being back on the sidelines, leisure suits Sager just fine.
What a solid.
Leisure suits
Solid.
Sager.
Because he's known for his flashy clothes.
Finally.
I'll take this matter.
Our last headline. Fox loses power to the broadcast truck during World Series. Causes game delay. Seton.
FOX, more like WTF.
Ooh. LOL. Fritzy.
What the Fox happened? Trucking A. What you talking about, Dontrell Willis?
That's what you talking about, Dontrell Willis.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, rest in peace, Gary Coleman. Paul, your headline.
Talking about Dontrell Willis.
Similar to Fritzy's, a little bit different delivery. What the fuck? Who turned off the lights?
What does John Fox?
What does John Fox say?
Boom. Sounds sick in that audience.
I love the delay. They let you hang there for a minute,
Yeah.
and then they just
Crowd
hammered
finally
you.
gets to
well
it.
done.
And finally, McLovin.
Dope. It's Bart Ono cologne for the boys at Fox.
Dope.
Bart Ono,
Okay.
Bart Olo cologne lost the game. Does anybody even stay up with these things? I'm out of here.
All right, the mock headline championship belt goes to Mr. Seton O'Connor. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't deserve that. I'm giving it to Fritzy. Fritzy was the best today.
All right,
Give
fine.
that man the belt.
I don't know where the hell
I don't want
McLovin's going. He hopefully gets back because
Know how to deliver it.
after these words, these messages, we might actually give out a Danette's phone number. That's a real thing. This is Box Score. First, we need to take a break and remind you that the Ram Heavy Duty, with its best-in-class towing, torque, and horsepower, doesn't need one. It never gives out its number. It's prominent on social media, Instagram, stuff like that, but very respectful. Guts, glory, Ram. Oh, yes, of course, we are closing up shop here on the Box Score. It has been a little bit since we've had a good Danette on Danette crime. And we almost had one last night when McLovin announced to Twitter that he was off to bed and to call him if anything good happens. Well, Seton took to the task and said if he got 10,000 retweets, he would actually hand out McLovin's phone number. Now, if you would have gotten to 10,000, would you have actually handed out his number, Seton?
I absolutely would have, yeah. I would have done that and then said, like, dude, I'm sorry, but it was just so good. Like, I just had to do it. Well, I'll buy you a new phone or something. I'll get you a new number, and I'll update all your contacts. But it was too good. I had to do it.
And I kind of would have understood.
Yeah, I was cracking up, dude. My wife was like, what are you laughing at so hard? I'm like, babe, well, imagine if this worked. Yeah, I was cracking up.
Well, this made me wonder, Paulie, have you guys ever gotten burned by contact info leaking out on air?
Yeah, Dan referenced it a little bit today. Rob Dibble used to be the co-host of the show. We were during a commercial break, and we used to have our microphones so we could talk to each other on our headsets in between the glass. And sometimes our discussions were on the internet-only feed. And Phil, the show killer, would take it in and take it out so we could talk on the internet so fans could hear us and not. So we're doing this bit where, and I said to Dibble, I emailed him. I IM'd him. I said, "Hey, I need your email address for some business purpose. If someone need to get a hold of him." He goes, "Yeah, it's dibs blah blah at AOL.com." I was like, and I look at Phil, and Phil goes like this, and only the people on the internet heard. And I said to Dibs, I go, "Maybe it won't be that bad. It's just internet people." And he goes, "It's that bad." And it was
No.
Hey, idiot, you gave your email address out on the internet.
Hey, Fritzy, you famously ruined a gift for DP's wife by letting it out on the air, and you also told your neighbors that you wanted to have a threesome, of which they notified you later that they had heard that. I don't know, is there a more embarrassing slip-up on the air that you've had?
That's pretty much as bad as it gets. I'm usually pretty good about the cursing stuff, but sometimes you say something little blue humor, something a little sexual. But if you're talking about how much you have a crush on the woman across the way, or whatever, which I've shared pretty much on the air.
And I think this is unfair because it's been at least 5 years since you've ruined the Patrick family Christmas.
But it still keeps coming back to haunt.
They don't remember that. I mean, when they go out and look at that huge, gigantic Airstream trailer, I'm sure it's not tainted.
It would have been a really, really special, wonderful surprise that Dan had planned out, and I just totally destroyed.
I'm sure it wasn't expensive.
All right, well, you can reveal who's on tomorrow. How about that?
Hall of Famer John Stockton will join us. He's now part of the Montana State coaching staff to coach his daughter Lindsay and her teammates, see if they can get over the hump.
You're gonna break down the schedule since he's
I
only
think they
guest?
were 15 and 15 last year, and he used to coach her at Spokane Prep or something like that in high school. So
did
John
not
will
know
talk
that.
soon. Maybe a little NBA as well.
Well, we will look into that tomorrow. We are back right here on Audience Channel 239. The podcast is available on iTunes or at podcast1.com. Rest in peace, Mr. Volquez.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching the box score. Holy cow!